Parliament. Because the microphones for the MPs are not working, and so that particular issue would have to be addressed before proceedings will continue. So as I speak to you now, Parliament is gone on a brief suspension. It's gone on a brief suspension. As and when the microphones are fixed, they will resume. But what we are hearing in the background is that the microphones are configured in such a way that only one microphone can be turned on at a particular time. And so if a microphone is on, the other MPs are unable to also turn on their microphones simultaneously. That's what we're hearing in the background. So, Pearl, the House is packed. We see members from both sides in the House. The proceedings, had started in earnest just when the MP for Afajatu South rose up to his feet and announced that his microphone was not working, and the other MPs also joined in complaining that their microphones were also not working. Even before that, there were some MPs who said that they didn't get a copy of the Hansard yesterday, the previous day's proceedings. They didn't get copies of that. Even before there was a detection that some of the microphones were not working. So, Pearl, any moment from now, when the technical issue of the microphone is dealt with, Parliament will resume. The Speaker has left the chamber. He's giving 5 minutes before the proceedings will resume. We're still here in Parliament. Quickly, we'll speak to some of the persons who are eagerly waiting to hear from the Finance Minister, Dr. Ato Forson, the Executive Secretary of the Import and Export Test Association of Ghana, Honorable Samson Awingobit, is here in person, waiting to hear exactly what the Finance Minister will be saying. Let's quickly engage him whilst we wait for the House to resolve those technical challenges, and then the proceedings will continue. Good morning to you, Mr. Awingobit. You are live on GTV. And so the House is gone on a suspension because of some technical issues. But really, you are very much expectant of the 2025 budget. What are your expectations as a business person?
Well, we are looking forward to see a very prosperous budget, a budget that would come to solve the needs of the ordinary citizenry. I'm very optimistic that this budget is coming to address the cost of doing business in the country, giving tax relief to the business community, and by extension, we will also intend to also reduce the prices of our goods in the market, so that the ordinary citizen who would have gone to the market and start crying, get like what happened, what transpired at the ministries when the minister of what do you call it? When the minister of finance himself went to market, and there's a lady who was complaining bitterly that she went to market to procure goods, and less than 2 weeks she went back and the price of those goods have gone up astronomically. That is not what we want to see. That is a burden on every household as we speak now. And so we are looking forward to see that the COVID levy is gone. We are looking forward to see that the e-levy is gone. In fact, even the rationalization of the fees and charges at the port, because that was one of the challenge areas that President Mahama used in Hammer in campaigning. The government agencies working are reporting that they are also like a revenue authority, which shouldn't be. They are not revenue authorities. And so and of course, President Mahama made us to understand that the Ghana, we are spending over $400 million in importing frozen chicken to this country. We've spent $2 billion importing food into this country. We want to see that no, if a half of this $2 billion stay in this country, by government giving incentives to those who produce rice, those who produce maize, those who produce soybeans, so that they can feed our industry, can feed the poultry producers, then they can produce more. Then we will no longer send $400 million to import frozen chicken to this country. They will no longer send out $2 billion to import rice to this country. So I want to say, what are the incentivized area that they are going to give the private sector, and that will for us. So today's budget will be the first year of the 24-hour economy. We are eager to see what the Minister of Finance is bringing. And I am happy and very optimistic that the Finance Minister showed us some example that he's above what we are thinking, that he went to the market himself, he also sent his deputy out, and then they all went to have interaction with the ordinary Ghanaians in the market there. And then so the challenge is the issue that we've been raising, that if you go to the market, the cost of doing business, inflation, city depreciation, we want the stability of the city, we will see. So that whether if he has actually listened to them and then putting it to action, then this budget would address those concerns that we have been raising.
You think there's any strategy that will help stabilize the Ghana cedi in a very short term? We see how the cedi is depreciating against major trading currencies. Are we able to stabilize it in a very short term, given the circumstances we find ourselves?
Yes, the policies that he will introduce in terms of fiscal policy will bring cedi depreciation, will bring inflation down. And that's why I advised last time that the Minister of Finance and the Governor of Bank of Ghana should be working in tandem, so that at least, because if the Bank of Ghana is dealing with the monetary policy, he's dealing with the fiscal policy. Fiscal policy bring in inflation, isn't it? Then stability of the city is paramount to us. And so I can tell you, we strongly believe that there is a need for government of Ghana to actually make sure that the city depreciation is something that we are looking for, stability of the city. So if, as I said, if we are sending a hooping of $400 million to import frozen chicken, we are sending a hooping of $2 billion to. So if we have 50% of those money to stay here, there will be stability in the city, and there will also be control of the inflation rate that we'll be talking about.
Is your expectation that all those tax, the levies, e-levy, COVID, emission tax, betting tax, should be off in this particular budget, or it should be staggered?
Yes, straight away. We are expecting to see a cutoff of those taxes that can give a relief to the business community, that will give business confidence. And if, mind you, President Mahama have already extended his invitation, his hand, to invite investors that left the shores of Ghana. Remember 2023, many of the investors, many of the business community left here to Ivory Coast. So this budget will be the budget that will build that confidence. This is the budget that will say, oh, this government is a new government. The new government is a business friendly. The new government really wants to do business, and the new government is prepared to receive investors coming. And so your city stability, your inflation, and then your interest rate is key. That is why we propose in the 2 days economic dialogue that the bank reserve, the commercial bank reserve, that the cash reserve that they deposit at the Bank of Ghana, what do they use it for? It's for 0%. They are not using it to trade. So the bank doesn't even get any profit. Can we, if we really mean that we are spending so much millions of dollars, bringing frozen chicken, bringing rice, can we use those money to direct, to invest, or to borrow to people who want to go into rice production, people who want to go into poultry production, people who want to go into maize and sorghum production, so that at a rate of 6% per annum, that is the way, that's the shortest way that can cushion and that can benefit the people.
All right, thank you very much. We will stay here in Parliament. We await the resumption of the House any moment from now. There's a 5-minute suspension of the House to fix the technical issues. So I'm hand over to you in the studio whilst we await the presentation of the 2025 budget. Sorry, I thought because
Awingubit, and we see that proceedings in the House have been suspended for a while because there were challenges, technical challenges with the microphones in the House, and so the Speaker directed that they suspend sitting until the microphones are worked on. So as and when they do work on the microphones, proceedings would start again, and then the Finance Minister can have his day in the House. Well, back into the studio, we'll be speaking to Mr. Dennis Brown, Deloitte. He's with Deloitte Ghana. He's Associate Director, Financial Advisory. Mr. Wingobit mentioned a number of things, particularly rationalization of fees and charges at the port. We'll talk about that. But one key thing he also spoke about was the Finance Minister's interaction with women, market women, and also that X Spaces conversation he held with the youth. You think that was very critical at this time when he has to put out the budget, especially just few days to the budget when many know that the budget was already done?
Well, I think it's a nice gesture, right? We are here to see whether whatever he went to the market to discuss with the market women will feature in the budget. The budget is a finite document. If you were to interview, market women all across, I'm sure, it will still boil down to just a few key issues that will feature in the budget anyway. But it's a nice gesture. It's, communicating the people to whom the budget belongs and giving them hope that their concerns will be addressed in the budget. It helps in carrying them along. You then enjoy that confidence down there, and they are then ready and prepared to contribute their quota. Even going to the market alone, for instance, can prompt someone to yield to paying their taxes. Those we saw in that a video that we saw, that picture also are mainly the informal sector. Getting down there and talking to them that it's a budget designed for them alone will whip up their confidence in what
you think it may be a way to sort of court them into appreciating why they may need to maybe contribute to payment of taxes?
Exactly, their quota in various ways, not only taxes but also even in terms of their own economic activities, and how that instead of boating, for instance, that's an option, going to other places where you feel the economic environment is more friendly, you get some confidence that yes, this might work, so I would stay back to contribute my quota. So it's a nice gesture, even if their views and ideas do not end up in the budget as blunt as they would want. I'm sure there will be other key measures in the budget that will contain aspects of what they want to see that they can run along with. So that's very good.
And the interaction with the youth, I've seen the most recent Afrobarometer report, and it stated that one of the major issues that people want to hear from the finance minister is the issue about unemployment, which really directly affects the youth. More than 43% of respondents said that they really wanted to hear something from the finance minister about unemployment, which directly affects the youth. You think that he may have sort of tried to help them appreciate whatever he has for them in the budget, even when it comes to unemployment issues or creating employment for the youth?
Yeah, I mean, unemployment was very topical in the lead up to the elections. And let me say, it's been topical over the last few years. Not few years, it's been, an issue that's been hanging around. Every government comes around and tries to do what they can, right? But we've seen this new government comes on the wings of the unemployment issues that we face, and they made promises on how they are going to get the economy to whip up productivity, to expand the economy, and to create jobs, just create the enabling environment to create those jobs. And so it was good that he went down there to touch down with them. Maybe, I'm sure they touched on issues relating to how they are approaching this whole idea or this whole thing around creating jobs. Maybe the 24-hour economy policy may have come up, and so everybody is very expectant, particularly within the youth ranks. They're expecting to see how government is, rewiring this whole idea of 24-hour economy to create jobs. And so it's good that he engages the youth, and I think that that's more so because of how emphatic the election victory was. If you look at the topical issues, I would say unemployment is number one. Our challenge has been that even though we keep growing the economy, the extent to which the economy generates jobs has not matched the extent to which the job market is growing. So you have a lot of people rushing into the job market
for very little,
for very little
available.
jobs. And so there's a lot we need to do. And like I said earlier, it starts with looking at really reconfiguring the structure of our economy. The structure as it is now is largely import dependent. Maybe about 80% of what we consume in our households are imported, which means you are creating jobs elsewhere. The final thing is what comes here, and in a simple change, buying and selling. If we manage to improve the value chains along various sectors, we talked about pharmaceuticals, talked about agribusiness, we talked about technology integration, we talked about steel manufacturing, and iron. I think there's one other sector which has escaped me a bit. If we prioritize those and develop the value chains along those sectors, we are going to be able to, create jobs along those sectors, and it will help solve the unemployment issue.
Now, for Mr. Wingobet, he's into the import and export business, and so one thing that for him is of interest is taxes or fees at the ports. And the current administration, even during their campaigning, indicated in their 120-day social contract that they were going to do something about port levies. What do you expect to see about that? Because Mr. Wingobet mentioned that he wants to see something about tax rationalization at the port, or fees, rationalization of fees at the ports.
Yeah, I think, in fact, when you go back to the lead up to the elections, both major political parties were promising tax reforms at the port, indicating that the number of taxes alone on the imports are too many, and so there should be some type of rationalization, maybe consolidating some of them and scrapping some of them entirely. So that's
we'll hold on to that, because I'm told Parliament is back in session. I'm sure issues with the microphones have been worked on, and so the House has reconvened, and then we'll head there and then see what's happening in Parliament.
Page 8. We'll now move to page 9. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. Page 13. Yes, Honourable Member.
Speaker, I'm exceedingly grateful for the opportunity. And with your leave, let me please seek your superior judgment and wisdom on item 15, Roman numeral 2, Dr. Justice Sremsai, a nominee for Deputy Ministerial Portfolio. Speaker, if you take the 13th report of the Appointment Committee, the nominee has been designated as Deputy Minister for Justice and Attorney General. But over here, the votes and proceedings have captured it as Deputy Attorney General and Deputy Minister, Ministry of Justice. I do not know if it's a needless repetition, especially with the deputy coming at the two ends. I seek your superior judgment.
Honourable Member, this is the correct designation. He is the Deputy Attorney General and also a Deputy Minister at the Ministry of Justice. That is the correct designation. May we go on now? Page 14. Yes, please.
Honourable Speaker, on page 14, item 16 motion, under conclusion of debate, the second sentence, the Honourable Second Deputy Speaker will due for the chair at 16:31 p.m. The Honorable First Deputy Speaker to the Chair. Deputy is missing, if it could be inserted. And the same applies to the next sentence, so consequential amendment to that. Thank you.
Honorable Member, we are grateful. Table office kindly take note. Page 15. Page 16. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. On page 16, item 9I, name number 11. Honorable Professor Grace.
Page 16.
Page 16.
Yes.
Name number 11. Item 9I. The arrangement of the title, I see some inconsistency. In some, I know for the standard in our votes and proceedings, we usually have the title, the professor, coming at the end of the name and in brackets. But in this arrangement, the arrangement is different, Honorable Professor. And I see that again on page, we haven't gotten to page 22, but I have seen that repeated several times. So if there could be some consistency with the arrangement, I think that would be helpful, Mr. Speaker.
It doesn't come up.
Thank you.
Honorable Member will take note of that. Page 17. Page 18. Yes, please.
Okay,
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Page 18. Page 18. Item 11 and 12 has been repeated. Honorable Alfred Ni Koteyashi. It's both at 11 and 12. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, my attention has been drawn by the chief whips to the fact that there have been some mistakes, errors in the list that was submitted and approved. I think it was on Friday. Yes. And so they are working at it and they will come back to us properly. So we await that. So if you identify some of the issues you are raising now, please kindly hold your peace. We'll get it corrected later on. Please. We'll do that later on. With regard to the composition of the committees, both standing and select committees. So page 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, up to the end of 58 will be taken later on. So please, honorable members, hold your peace until they resubmit the proper composition to the House. In the meantime, the committees by law are established. It's only the composition that we're having issues with. The referral will be to the committees, and that is what will happen after the presentation of the budget. Please, with that, we'll take page 59. Page 60. Honorable members, in the absence of any further corrections, the votes and proceedings of the 29th sitting, dated Friday, 7th March 2025, is adopted as the true record of proceedings. I have a copy of the official report of Tuesday, 25th February 2025. Any corrections? Honorable members, in the absence of any correction, yes?
Mr. Speaker, some minor corrections on column 79, second paragraph, line 8. Line 8, the former president, John Ajekun Kufuor, names are very significant. The second Kufuor was spelled wrongly. It should be Kufuor, not Our. Kufuor. It's a Kufuor. Then the last paragraph, the last sentence, beginning to tend to that concept. Tend is used here, but I suspect the right word should be tend, Turn, instead of tend, Tend. Thank you.
Table office kindly take note of that. Yes, honorable member.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on column 75, line 8, the sentence should read, but I want to highlight one important thing that the maker, Mr. Speaker, the article there has been excluded, and I think that it is proper we include that. Still on the same column, line 17. Mr. Speaker, it should read as, I think that apart from the law, the act that was passed by the House, we has been omitted. We should look at the projects. So, Mr. Speaker, the Hansard department the table should include we there. Mr. Speaker, column 76, paragraph 3. We have, Mr. Speaker, lastly, I would want to also suggest that apart from the budgeting offloading of projects, the mistake here is the phrase, the maker of the statement has to be deleted. The maker of the statement has to be deleted and replaced with we, so that it will then read as, Mr. Speaker, lastly, I would want to also suggest that apart from the budgetary offloading of projects, we could include in every brochure, ... So that, I think, should be the rendition. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, the same paragraph, line 12. I would be able to tell that when I call this investor, they would the B is excluded, and it has to be included in the sentence. Be able to. And we'll replace participate with partner. We'll replace participate with partner in the same sentence. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, table office, you have to listen to the voice and do the proper thing. Well, this is quite massive. And partner and participate, they are quite different and distinct. So the voice will determine which one to use. Because if you read the standing orders, it talks about it being put in as much as possible. Is a verbatim reportage of what is said on the floor. Yes, please.
I'm most grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, at column 144 of the official report, my contribution to the tribute to the Osajefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the second paragraph at column 144, the word is faith columnists, not fee. So it should be F-I-F-T-H. What we have here is F-E-E-D. So, Mr. Speaker, if that can be corrected. And then the first paragraph at column 144, Fidel Castro should not belong to that category. It should be put in a different category. So if the corrections could be effected accordingly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, table office, kindly take note of that. Yes. Honorable members, there being no further corrections, the official report of the 25th February 2025 is hereby adopted as a true record of proceedings. Honorable members, we will now move on to the item of the day. I mean the main item of the day, that is item 7, statements. The first statement. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on our today's order paper, item 7, as you rightly call, the budget statement and economic policy of the government for the year ending 31st December 2025. Mr. Speaker, I want to invite you to our standing orders, order 195. 2. Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I need guidance and I'll read it. Mr. Speaker.
Please, let's listen to the Deputy Minority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the Minister was Mr. Speaker, Order 1952. With your permission, Mr. Speaker, I need guidance and I read. The budget statement and economic policy of the government shall be presented to the House by the minister responsible for finance on behalf of or on the authority of the president, and in a form the House may determine. Mr. Speaker, I'm emphasizing on the last part, in a form the House may determine. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, this new standing orders on this 9th Parliament, we haven't determined any form the budget statement will be presented as at now. Mr. Speaker, I have gone to read Order 6, and I have checked on our schedule from Schedule 1 to Schedule 10, and that of Order 6, and I have not been able to understand. And as we stand, Mr. Speaker, as at now, the House has not determined the form the budget is going to be presented. So, Mr. Speaker, the House has to determine the form before he can present any statement. Mr. Speaker, that is my plea, that the House must determine, my application is that the House must determine the form of the budget statement before he reads the statement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the Public Financial Management Act and its various amendments spell out clearly the budgeting process, the requirements of a budget, what must be contained in it, and etc. And that was a legislation enacted by this same Parliament. And this Parliament acts according to the prescriptions of that legislation. So if there are provisions in the standing orders that recommend that we have a form in which the budget should be presented, the provisions of the Public Financial Management Act, of course, is the parent legislation dealing with financial management and the presentation of budgets. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't think there's an issue here. Let's proceed and take the budget statement from the Minister of Finance.
Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I have listened to the application by the Member of Parliament for Toulon. I have also listened to the Leader of the House responding to the said application. The Leader of the House makes a general submission. The application was anchored on the rules of this House. A mandatory provision in Order 195, there's no may there. It reads, for the avoidance of doubt and at the risk of being repetitive, this is what it says. The budget statement in economic policy of the government shall be presented to the House by the minister responsible for finance on behalf of and on the authority of the president, and in the form the House may determine. Yes, wait, look at them. Mr. Speaker, wait. Yes, so, yes, wait. Mr. Speaker, they should take it easy. They should take it easy. They should take it easy. This is law. Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy. So, Mr. Speaker, what is the reverse logic? Please, for the benefit of our young ones, for the benefits of the young ones, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, this House is a house of procedure. This House is equally guided by its own rules and precedents. Wait a moment. For those who are in a hurry to shout in his agreement, if the law says may determine, is it also the case that in reverse logic, the House may decide not to determine any form? What? No, wait. The law is that a budget statement must be presented. But we are saying again that as a House, we may have to determine which form. So, Mr. Speaker, the invitation by the minority, the deputy minority whip, is well founded. He is inviting us as a House to determine, are we going to allow him to make a statement, or we are going to allow him to move a motion? Is it going to be in a form of a motion or in a form of a statement? This is a well-anchored application. Don't use your number to shout to intimidate him. He has made a solid argument. This House has not determined the form in which this item has to be taken. The deputy minority whip is inviting us to set the ground rules. The majority leader got up and referred to PFM Act to say what? He didn't quote the specific provision. The man has made an application under our own rules. You didn't attack him on the rules. You didn't know. You didn't say anything against his application on the rules. Mr. Speaker, as the minister is here, in which form are we going to listen to you? What are you? Is he going to make a statement, or he is going to move a motion? Mr. Speaker, this House is being invited to determine this matter. You see, the Supreme Court has had an occasion to give a contextual interpretation where may is placed to mean shall. Yes, it is there. No, come on, Mr. Speaker, even that argument has come in the form. In this House, there are ways to come here. You come to make a statement, you come to move a motion. What is the minister coming to do? It's for this House to determine. Is he going to move a motion in accordance with Article 179? Or he's coming to make a statement? And when he makes a statement, what happens? Is it going to be left with a chairman of a finance committee to now move that this House should debate the statement? Mr. Speaker, this is a solid application, and he should be applauded for what
on this matter. I've heard enough. I think in terms of procedure, the right thing has been done. The order you quoted clearly states the statement of the estimates of revenue and expenditure of the government. It says what? The statement. And so what they are bringing to us is a statement. And when statements are admitted, they are presented as statements. Now, when you go to 1952, which you refer to, it says the budget statement and economic policy of the government shall be presented to the House by the minister responsible for finance on behalf of or on the authority of the president. That's first. Second, and in a form the House may determine. Honorable Minority Leader, you are not in a shouting battle. Please. This is the House. The only way the House can determine however you define form is when the statement is presented to you. The House cannot determine this matter outside the House. You can only determine it when you are truly sitting as a House. And this is the House. He's presenting the statement. If you decide that you want a form, you define form in any different manner as you are doing, then this is the time when it is presented, you take this opportunity to determine that form you want, different from the earlier forms that we've decided and been practicing. If this is what you want to do, please, the statement must first be presented to you. It has to be presented to the House. And if you may, you determine the form you want it to be presented. That can be part of the debate. But I'm not sure the definition you are putting on the word form. Form. Please go back to your lexicons. To determine the meaning of form. I think the writing is being done. The statement was admitted. It's been properly captured on the order paper as programmed by the business committee, and the minister is here to present the statement to the House. So the minister may do so. So at honorable members, honorable minister, just a minute. Just a minute. Honorable members, at the commencement, yes.
Mr. Speaker, just to thank you for your guidance and the proper interpretation of 1952. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Galamsey for the longest time until I became a Galamsey.
Honorable members, item 7, statements. The budget statement and economic policy of the government for the year ending 31st December 2025. Minister for Finance.
Mr. Speaker, on the authority of His Excellency the President, President John Dramani Mahama, and pursuant to Article 179 of the Constitution and the other paper and the standing orders of the House, Order 1952, and today's order paper, item 7. Mr. Speaker, I present to you the budget statement and economic policy of government for the year ending 31st December 2025. Right Honorable Speaker, today marks a moment of great significance, and I have the singular honor to stand before this House to present, on behalf of His Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama, following his extraordinary mandate, the maiden budget of his new administration. Mr. Speaker, I'm deeply grateful to His Excellency the President for entrusting me with this responsibility. Respectfully, Mr. Speaker, I also submit to this House the following statutory report as required by law. The 2024 annual report on the petroleum funds, in line with Section 48 of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act 2011, Act 815, as amended, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also submit the 2024 Energy Sector Levies Report in accordance with Section 6 of the Energy Sector Levies Act 2015, Act 899. And finally, Mr. Speaker, the 2024 Annual Report on the collection and utilization of the African Import Union Levy, in line with Section 7 of the African Union Import Levy Act 2017, Act 952. Right Honorable Speaker, with this budget, I will also be seeking a review of the following act to support the policies of government aimed at stabilizing the economy and promoting inclusive growth. The first will be an amendment to the Petroleum Revenue Management Act 2011, Act 815. The second will be the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund Act 870. And the second will be an amendment to the Mineral Income Investment Fund Act 2018, Act 978. The Speaker, I will also be seeking amendment to the Energy Sector Levies Act 2015, Act 899. I will be seeking amendment to the Ghana Cocoa Board Act, Act 1984, the PNDC Law 81, as amended. The Speaker, that's not all. I will also be seeking amendment to the Earmark Funds Capping and Realignment Act 2017, Act 947, the Ghana Procurement Authority Act 2003, Act 663, as amended in Act 914. Speaker, I will be seeking amendment to the Ghana Education Trust Fund Act 2000, Act 581. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I will also be seeking amendment to the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2018, Act 982, and incorporating into a comprehensive public financial management act. Mr. Speaker, I forgot to add that I will also be seeking amendment to the Revenue Administration Act 2016, Act 915. So, Speaker, we remain committed to the pursuit of our 24-hour economic policy of stimulating economic growth and job creation. Right Honorable Speaker, this policy will contribute to addressing Ghana's structural economic challenge by creating an integrated, efficient, and increasingly export-driven industrial economy that fulfills the utilization of our national resources, capital, and labor power. Right Honorable Speaker, will be presenting the 24-hour economy policy to Parliament in due course. In this respect, Mr. Speaker, the Labour Act, the Ghana Investment Promotion Act, and other enabling legislations will be reviewed accordingly. Mr. Speaker, as part of the effort to stabilize our city through foreign exchange and gold reserve accumulation, I will also submit a bill to provide a legal framework for the establishment of the Ghana Gold Board for the consideration of this House. Mr. Speaker, this budget is indeed an abridged version of the 2025 budget statement and economic policy of government. I respectfully request the Hansa Department to capture the entire budget statement and economic policy of government for the year ending 31st December 2025. Mr. Speaker, standing here evokes a sense of nostalgia as I reflect on my journey in public service. From my early days as a young parliamentarian in this House in the year 2009, destiny has guided my path from a backbencher to a member of the Finance Committee, to a Deputy Minister of Finance, to ranking member of the Finance Committee, to Minority Leader, to Majority Leader briefly, and now, Mr. Speaker, as Minister responsible of Finance. Right Honourable Speaker, the invaluable experience I gained in this chamber has shaped my perspective, sharpened my focus, and prepared me for the task at hand. I fully commit to supporting His Excellency the President to fix the economy of Ghana. I take this opportunity to extend my profound gratitude to the good people of Ejumako and Yanesiam, my constituents, and to you, Mr. Speaker, and members of this House across the aisle for your unwavering support throughout my years in this chamber. Mr. Speaker, this esteemed House is a sanctuary of rigorous debate, principled cooperation, and at times constructive disagreement, all in the pursuit of greater good of our beloved country. I look forward to working with you, Right Honourable Speaker, and my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to reset the Ghana's economy through sound policy and structural reforms that will propel our country forward. Mr. Speaker, there comes a time in a nation's history when fundamental challenges must be confronted, difficult choices must be made, and a new course must be set for the future. For Ghana, the defining moment is now. Mr. Speaker, President John Dramani Mahama made a commitment to reset Ghana for jobs, accountability, prosperity. Mr. Speaker, as captured in the NDC manifesto, in this regard, the theme of our budget is resetting the economy for Ghana we want. Right Honourable Speaker, the democratic principles we tirelessly fought for are being held. Our democracy has been consolidated with yet another peaceful transition of power. That notwithstanding, our youth face an uncertain future with growing unemployment and hopelessness. This suggests that the dividend of democracy, such as economic prosperity and social justice, remains elusive. Mr. Speaker, the choice before us as a country are clear. We can either continue on a path of self-destruction by not confronting the problems, or we can embark on a journey of fundamental reforms and transformation, one that resets our economic model, redefines our priorities, honors our social contract, and provides opportunity for all. Mr. Speaker, luckily, President Mahama has chosen the path of reform and transformation. He will fix the economy. He will restore hope and lead us to build the Ghana we want together. Right Honourable Speaker, this budget was preceded by the National Economic Dialogue on the theme Resetting Ghana, Building the Economy We Want Together, on the 3rd and the 4th of March 2025. Through this consensus-building dialogue, the people demanded a decisive action, real solution to the severe challenges that plagued us as a country. Mr. Speaker, the 2025 budget is a culmination of the true aspirations, felt needs, genuine desires of the people of Ghana, expressed through the engagement with diverse stakeholders. As part of our broad consultation also, ahead of the budget, we recently engaged traders at major trading centers, including the Mokola market, to listen to their concerns, gauge their expectations, and elicit their input. So, Speaker, the extensive consultation revealed that the overriding concern among Ghanaian traders and business community remains price and exchange rate stability. Apart from eroding their working capital, exchange rate volatilities makes effective business planning impossible and increase the cost of doing business. This budget outlines far-reaching measures which will be implemented in close collaboration with the Central Bank, the Bank of Ghana, to effectively and efficiently manage the exchange rate and inflation. Mr. Speaker, we also engage the youth of Ghana in a dialogue on social media as part of our new budget consultation. Mr. Speaker, during my engagement with the youth, it was revealed that 321 pharmacists who were employed since June 2023 have not received their salaries. We will take urgent steps to remedy this situation immediately. Right Honorable Speaker, this conversation was an eye-opening experience, one that strengthened my belief that the voices of the youth matter in designing policies that directly and indirectly impact their lives and future. So, Speaker, in the year 2016, I came to this chamber on behalf of the then Minister of Finance, the Honorable Seth Emmanuel Tepe, and led the passage of the Public Financial Management Act 2016, Act 912, to deploy a robust public financial management system. Even though, Mr. Speaker, the Public Financial Management Act remains one of the best in the world, its poor implementation has rendered our public financial management systems weak, allowing for abuse and costly infraction. So, Speaker, President Mahama's government is committed to the full implementation of this critical legislation. So, Speaker, accordingly, we will enforce the sanction regime, link contracting and public procurement to budgetary provisions in the medium-term expenditure framework, and seek parliamentary approval for all multi-year commitments as required by law. Mr. Speaker, we will comply with the public procurement process and link them to approved budget. We will also respect the limits of the appropriations as approved by Parliament. We will rationalize the management of the compensation of employees, including conducting headcount across the country. Mr. Speaker, I now turn my attention or my focus to the state of the Ghanaian economy as at 31st December 2025. Right Honorable Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I now focus my attention on the state of the Ghanaian economy as at 31st December 2024. Mr. Speaker, hands on heart, we inherited an economy in deep crisis. Mr. Speaker, an economy hard hit with debt and beset by other fiscal challenges, such as large accumulation of MDRS, energy sector shortfalls, and financial sector payments. Mr. Speaker, weak commitment control and reckless public spending have reversed the progress made in fiscal consolidation, even under the IMF program that commenced in the year 2023. Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding the gains made under the IMF-supported program that was to achieve through the painful sacrifice of domestic bondholders, external creditors, and taxpayers, the economy remains in distress. Right? Key performance indicators to be assessed by the IMF staff in the upcoming fourth review of the program, scheduled for April 2025, such as the primary balance on commitment basis, inflation, social protection, and others, as at end 2024, are likely missed. Right Honorable Speaker. In addition, all structural benchmarks due by end December 2024 are also missed. So, Speaker,